Thanks for being with us today on our special here at the Superdome in Ben Franklin Park. Our next guests are, it's a very personal topic for them. I want to introduce Kathleen and Gord and Stringer, and I want to thank you both for being with us today. They're the parents of Rowan Stringer, a 17-year-old young woman who passed away earlier this year after she suffered a concussion while playing rugby. This is obviously very fresh still for both of you. She only died in May. How are you doing? How are you coping?
Day to day, I guess, it's very sad. It changes your whole life completely, never to be the same again.
Take us back to that day. She was playing rugby, her favorite sport, which she was very good at too, from what I understand.
Yeah.
What happened on the field?
Well, we weren't actually at the game when it happened, so the only thing that we have is what's been told to us. But apparently there was a rough tackle. It was a penalizable tackle, and she apparently was airborne for a little bit and basically landed on the ground with her head and her neck taking the brunt of the force. We're told apparently she sat up momentarily, kind of raised her hand to her head and then lost consciousness, and she never regained it.
Never awoke. She was taken off life support a few days later. You made that decision.
We didn't actually take her off life support. We just stopped all interventions because the doctors came to us and said that she wouldn't recover. So what we did was we just allowed nature to take its course, and as her brain swelled, then you can actually get the diagnosis of brain death to allow for the organ donation. So at the point where we knew she wasn't going to recover, it was her wish to donate her organs. So we wanted to make sure that we could do that. So she stayed on the ventilator to make sure all her organs were in excellent shape for when she was pronounced brain dead and then could donate.
I want to talk about concussions. She had another hit, maybe even two earlier, prior to that game.
Yes, the game where it happened was Wednesday, and the previous Friday there was a small high school tournament that they have, kind of a preseason warm-up, and she did take a hit in that game, but she continued playing. It was just she got hit, and
she seemed fine.
She seemed fine at the time.
She did have a
she
headache,
did come home later on and she had a headache.
But we didn't think too much about it.
She woke up Saturday morning. She was fine.
Was it something you didn't think too much about because she's been playing sports her whole life, and many sports, and you know, sometimes you get a bit of a ding, and if you have a sore head you don't think much of it?
Well, actually she had played ringette for 13 years and she had never hit her head, and all the previous sports she played, lacrosse, very rough sports, she had never actually hit her head at all. We were out in the sun that whole day, and I don't know, she was the type that got headaches sometimes, so we didn't think that much about it. And when she was fine, she never mentioned it again on the weekend.
How has this changed your thinking about concussions in sports?
Well,
it's been a huge change, I think. Like, I would think back to that now, and I'd say, if you ever have anything that you feel you've gotten shaken up and you have a headache from it or any symptoms, I would probably say it's a concussion instead of wondering if it is or isn't.
Go to that.
Just
err on the side of caution.
That's right.
Side of caution,
for sure.
Yeah.
But then in Monday's game she got hit again, but she didn't tell any adults, and we didn't know about that.
And how important is that, do you think, that the kids tell their parents about any symptoms?
Yeah, for sure. They need to be aware of the seriousness of it. I think that's part of it, that she just wasn't thinking it was that serious.
You have decided to, I mean, her organs have gone to other people who were in need of organs. You donated them, and you also donated her brain to science, as I understand. Tell me why it's important that they study her brain.
Well, we were contacted soon after the incident by the team at Boston University. They run the Center for the Study of Traumatic Encephalopathy there, and they're mostly known for their work with the hockey players and NFL football players historically, Derek Bugard and the other fellows. And they contacted us because of what happened, because of the nature of the injury, but also they don't get a lot of female brains. And in talking to them, they said, you know, it would be very interesting. It will add to the baseline and knowledge for them to have a young female athlete's brain to look at and see what has happened and try and figure out if it was a second impact syndrome or if it was something else, and just add to the base of medical knowledge. So.
And just quickly, does that give you some sort of peace knowing that, you know, this tragedy that your family has suffered could bring some knowledge, some good for others if they can get some answers from Rowan?
Oh, for sure. And
Absolutely.
we've already had certain teams in the Ottawa area say they've changed the way they do their sports. They talk about it before games. They teach all the kids about the seriousness of what could happen.
This is after Rowan's death.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's good.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Stringer, Gordon and Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us today, and our hearts go out to you at this very difficult time. We really appreciate your presence here on our show today.
Well,
Thanks for
very
having
much
us.
for having us.